This is episode 26, How to Rise Up by Serving Others with the one and only Jeremy Jackson. Welcome to Alive by Design. My name is Blake Mallon, and we're here to bring you inspiring people, principles, and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. Open your mind and let's dive in. Hey guys, before you listen to the podcast, I just wanted to say I really appreciate you being here, and I'm super excited about this new quarantine conversation series. If you want to catch these episodes happening live, where you often can ask real-time questions or maybe even get featured on the show, make sure we're connected on Instagram @BlakeMallon and on my Facebook page, facebook.com/BlakeMallon.page, as I'd love to see you there. Love you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and enjoy the episode. For those of you guys that have been joining, welcome back. For those of you that are new to this series, welcome to Quarantine Conversations. So this is a series that we started here when we entered the crazy COVID crisis we've been in now for however many weeks. And the premise of the conversations, guys, was simple, that we're just not going to go through this time, but we can actually grow through this time, right? At a time of obstacle, there's also a time of opportunity. At a time of challenge, that's also an opportunity for us to challenge ourselves to grow. And while we're facing, every day, uncertainty and new reality and questioning what this new normal is going to look like, we all believe that, even during the tough times, and especially during the tough times, we can actually become better because of it. And that's been the series, guys, and conversations. Hopefully you've been getting some value from some of our previous conversations. And today is going to be a whole new level. So today, guys, we have a very special guest. And this is someone who I've had the privilege of having a relationship with on a personal level, on a friendship level, for a long time now, well over a decade, probably close to 15 years. And I haven't had a chance to see him in so many different facets. But he's someone that the world knows, and he's someone that maybe you are going to recognize and remember from any phase or any season of his very, very diverse background. Been to the top of the top on a lot of different levels, and also had a lot of hard lessons as he's going from kind of peak to peak. So just a few of the facts of our special guest today. You're probably going to recognize him first and foremost from his acting career. Jumped into the world of acting at a very young age 6, had done over 60 commercials, a ton of movies with massive names like John Travolta. But you're probably going to know him most from the show Baywatch. And for those of you guys that remember, go ahead and give me some feedback. How many of you remember the show Baywatch? No matter who you are, how old you are, or what part of the world you're from, I guarantee you know the show. What you may not know is still to date, Baywatch is the single number one most watched television show in history of television internationally. As in, it doesn't get much bigger than that. And you'll recognize the guest today as Hobie from the show Baywatch. Went on and had an extremely successful career as an entertainer. At the exact same time as he was acting, was also singing around the world. He was one of the youngest individuals ever to be inducted into the World Music Hall of Fame at age 12. He had 2 albums, 5 singles, 3 top 10 hits, filled Olympic arenas alongside David Hasselhoff at a young age. Can't wait to dive into that. Went on to help launch very iconic fashion brands around the world. Has since then been at the top of the fitness charge, cover of magazines like Iron Man magazine. And through all of that, top of so many different industries and such a wealth of went through an interesting season of life where he said, you know what? I'm going to go a different direction, and really came to the conclusion that he wanted to dedicate his time, his talent, his energy to serving others. Went out there and has gotten certified. He's a certified drug and alcohol counselor today, helps people through recovery. He's a certified personal trainer. He's certified in raw functional training. He's a certified clinical nutritionist. He's a certified breathwork and meditation healer. I can't wait to dive in to a lot of those categories today. So as you can see, very, very, very talented guest, and someone that brings a wealth of life to today's conversation that we get to dive into. So with that, I'm going to wait no longer. I'm going to bring on our special guest here. We have live none other than Jeremy Jackson. Jeremy, how you doing, brother?
Ta-da! I'm good, bro. Thanks for the epic intro, man. It's good to see you, brother.
Bro, and for those of you guys that are listening, like Jeremy and I have known each other. I don't even know how long, Jeremy. You know, I'm bad at time. How long have we been friends?
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right, man. It's like 12, 15 years, something like that. You know, surfing down in HB, I think is when we first connected, right? Through Rich Paula and yeah, nothing but great memories.
I love it. So on a social level and you know, we've had some great times and we've worked together on some fun projects, and I didn't know half the stuff until we were having a conversation prior today. I'm like, I didn't know, man. Like Baywatch, #1 most watched show in the history of television.
Yeah, it's actually a Guinness Book of World Records holding show. Yeah.
It is absolutely phenomenal. Well, I can't wait to dive in and have a conversation with you at a whole different level than we ever had. And I know that there's going to be a ton of value for everybody today. First, we got to start where you started, because that's going to be a ton of people's questions. So bring us back, man. How old were you when you dove into the acting world? Tell us about it. What landed you on Baywatch? Would love to hear more on that experience.
Absolutely, man. You know, I never knew acting was a career or a profession, something you could make money at. You know, I just saw people like Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley. You know, I was enamored with these entertainers who had this presence, this gravity that made people fall to their knees and weep and cheer and cry. And I was just, you know, obsessed with that. So, you know, when I was a year old, I split my head open. I got 135 stitches because at a year old, I was already practicing my Michael Jackson dance moves. So, you know, extremist overachiever from birth, man. Like I would lock myself in my room and I would just record on this karaoke machine that my mom had. And I would make commercials and radio shows, fake radio shows. And I would dress up and put my Chipmunks album on the little Fisher Price, you know, record player. And I would like do, you know, routines and memorize this stuff. I was hungry for it, you know, and I would perform in front of anybody that would watch, and my mom and all her friends. And I love to entertain people. That's just how it was. And, you know, my mom was a single mom, come from really, you know, very meager beginnings, and, you know, bringing up a crazy hyper kid as a single mom in the hood of Anacrime, you know, Anaheim, California. She just, you know, she went to community college so that she could stay on food stamps and housing. You know, we were in line for free cheese and rice at the local church, and we were just scraping by, her and I, you know. And at her community college, she saw this poster board up, and it said, you know, looking for child actors. And she called them up, and she sent my picture to them. And I went and I met this agent lady in Hollywood. We drove up there in her little Volkswagen Beetle that catches on fire every 45 minutes. And, you know, it's pretty crazy. And turns out that agent was the agent for, you know, like Dustin Diamond Screech from Saved by the Bell. She was the agent for the Olsen twins. She was the agent for Will Horniff, who was like famous for the TV show Lassie. Like she was a big child agent, you know, and we didn't know anything about the entertainment industry. We were just like OC beach bums, you know. We didn't have any friends, insiders, or family that came from a entertainment background. We just showed up, you know, and that's how it really happened, man. I started going on these auditions, and I was like a grown up in this little kid's body, and you know, I knew what I wanted. It was a passion of mine, and I loved it already. I'd already been working on my craft, not knowing it was an actual craft. So when I showed up to the audition and they needed me to do something or act a certain way, I was there, and it just kind of took off from there. I think my first commercial that I ever landed was a Mattel commercial for these color racers. It ended up turning into a seven commercial run, and like people were calling me the Mattel kid, and my head was just spinning like, whatever. Okay, cool.
I think what was interesting, you mentioned to me earlier, the list of movies you turned down. I thought that was, what are some of the movies you turned down when you know, at that age?
It's funny because I was actually just talking about that with a friend of mine like the day before, but yeah, the movie Walk to Remember with Mandy Moore, which, you know, Heath Ledger, it was kind of his breakout movie. I turned that role down, and they wrote that movie with me as the lead. Like from inception, I was supposed to be the guy in it. And I turned that down. Free Willy turned it down. I was too busy with basically Free Willy. They wrote for me too. They were like, that little kid that's on that beach show, like he's the perfect one to ride this whale. Like, let's just have him do it. Like, sorry guys, I'm like going to be in Zurich, performing with 2 Unlimited and Right Said Fred and freaking the Eurythmics. I'm opening up for them. Like, I just couldn't do it. This other movie, Camp Nowhere, there's a lot of $1 million deals that I walked away from to pursue the music thing, because really entertainment as a whole was always kind of my passion. I wasn't like an actor or specifically a singer or specifically a dancer. I kind of like to just bring them all together to feed off other people's energy, to entertain, to provide, and to kind of just, find that natural high.
Well, it's very rare to meet people that have been at the highest level, at a level you have in so many different arenas of entertainment. And I want to dive in. I want to go to the singing thing in a minute because I'm super curious on that. But obviously, no matter how many things you turn down, you found your way on the #1 most watched television show in the history of the world. Everybody knows the character Hobie. Everybody knows the show Baywatch.
11 seasons, 11 years, man, from 10 to like 21.
Crazy. So that's how old you were. So 10, you were 10 years old to 21 years old, that phase of life.
Yeah. The day I got Baywatch, the day I got the show was the day that Michael Landon died. I'll never forget it. Highway to Heaven was one of my favorite shows, like growing up as a kid. And I remember, Leonardo DiCaprio was auditioning for the part, Brandis, what's his last name? Jonathan Brandis. A lot of really famous kids were auditioning for the show. They're all about my same age. And it was, all the elite child actors. It was 4 auditions. David Hasselhoff was always my hero, like Knight Rider. Like, holy crap, I'm sitting in the room with Knight Rider. And like the deciding factor, after 1,000 kids have come and gone and I'm still here, he's like picking up this kid to see what he weighs and picking up me. He's like, this guy's much lighter. Like, I'll look way more buff throwing this guy on my shoulder than this one. Like, that's literally how I got the job. Plus, I grew up on the beach, bodyboarding. I had the tan already. I had a single parent. So the role did kind of come naturally to me. But,
it gives me chills. Yeah, that gives me chills. This is like your upbringing, probably the least likely out of all the kids that were in that lineup, but it was meant to be. I got. So you mentioned Knight Rider. So I've never told you the story, but like you made one of my childhood dreams come true. Because like obviously we're similar age. I grew up as an 80s kid, and the show, like, dude, Knight Rider was Knight Rider, man. Like, it was like I wanted a Kit. Like, what 80s kid didn't want Kit the car? And you made that happen for me. I remember we were over at David Hasselhoff's house celebrating with you, and you got me in Kit, and I was like, I took a photo in Kit.
I love it, man. Yeah, me too. Knight Rider was my first, for sure. I was hooked on that show growing up.
Oh, it was amazing. I took that photo, and my mom took a photo of me at Universal Studios when I was 5, and it was a billboard.
Oh my gosh, I got one of those too.
Yep, because they had a Kit thing at Universal or whatever.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So anyway, brother, I never said thank you, but you made a childhood dream come true, and I still have that photo of, like, me as an adult with and me at 5 years old. So hey, speaking of Hasselhoff, I'm curious, what was your favorite Hasselhoff moment on the show? Like, tell us a moment.
He was always very fun guy. He's obviously, you met him, bigger than life personality, A-type, hyperactive. He's always playing jokes on people. Always a prankster. I mean, literally I'd be, doing my close up, we do the scene together and then they shoot my close up and he's like on the other side of the camera with showing me his bare butt, like trying to make me laugh while I'm doing my close up. I mean, he was that much of a big brother, like fun type of guy, shoot, fun times. He had this old Porsche, the fastback. What was that one? I forget the number. You remember the fastback Porsche?
Yeah, I think so. I'm sure I'd recognize it.
Anyway, he'd take me at lunch and take me, I'd be like in a black sports car with Knight Rider and he's like doing donuts on PCH, so it's like very surreal moments.
I love it. What about favorite episode? I mean, that's got to be hard. 11 seasons, 11 years of your life. Favorite episode?
I mean, dude, a lot of really fun episodes. I mean, if you can only imagine. So I'm this beach kid already. I surf, I body surf, a bodyboard, and I'm just getting all this free stuff. Al Merrick surfboards. Kelly Slater's on the phone with Al Merrick going, yeah, send my boys some surfboards and sponsorships. You know, I grew up watching Surfer Magazine, so I got this surfboard with freaking all my sponsors on there, wetsuit sponsors, Reef, freaking Quicksilver, you know, like everyone sending me stuff. I feel like a pro surfer, you know, so there was never like kind of a dull moment or episode. I just call people at random, be like, hey, yeah, watch. Oh yeah, hey, like Jimmy Z. Yeah, like I'm on Baywatch. You want to send me some free clothes? Yeah, come down to our warehouse. I would do walkthroughs at every warehouse and just collect tons of free stuff. So there was a lot of really good times. But you know, when the whole episode is basically out on a boat or on the Wave Runner, you know, and or like we did a river rafting episode. So 2 favorite times, like a river rafting episode where all we did was river raft a bunch. I jumped in the water twice, forgetting I had like this $1,000 microphone on. Everybody hated me for that. But there's a specific episode, I think it was called Lover's Cove. It was called Lover's Cove. And it was me and this girl, Andy McAfee, who was a little older than me and totally didn't even let me flirt with her, even though I tried incessantly. But we were on a Wave Runner, you know? So they're like, slow down. They're trying to film us. I'm like splashing the camera. It's like I spent a week, you know, riding around on a Wave Runner out in the water. So those were the fun times. Surfing episodes, stuff like that was always
I love it. I mean, it's a SoCal kid's dream for sure.
Yeah.
And then singing. So what were you telling me? The largest venue you ever performed singing at was what?
The Olympic Stadium. I want to say it was Hamburg, Germany. It was the Olympic Stadium. I think we filled half of it. They had it cut in half. It was 15,000 people. And David was doing his music. You know, he hit it big because he was in Berlin when the Berlin Wall was coming down, and he had this light up leather jacket that has this eagle on the back and like LEDs. And he just had a cameraman with him, and he jumped up on the Berlin Wall, put on his jacket and sang his song, like it's going for freedom. And like, he's already German, but when he did that, it was game over. You know what I mean? He was like instant cult favorite. Like he's their mascot. Right. And he's killing it. He's leaving. We're filming in the summer and he's leaving every winter. We're sitting at the lunch table one day, and he was making fun of me because one of these sponsors that I was obsessed with was Adidas, right? So I was sponsored by Adidas. Adidas sent me Christmas presents. Every time they did a new release, every new season, I got huge box of clothes, all the stuff. And I wore so much Adidas, he was laughing at me one day. And he goes, with the beat and the sound of my stripes hitting ground, you can run. And he just like throws out this line. And he's like, dude, I got it. And he calls up his producer. It's a guy named Mark Holden. Mark Holden is, he's the Simon Cowell of Australia. He's actually Australia's Got Talent. He's the guy on that show. He produced a lot of music, Mila Jovovich, a lot of really amazing artists. And he's like, hey, I want to write this song for this kid. You can run, you can hide, you can cheat, you can lie, but you can't run away from me. And he literally wrote the hook at the lunch table. I got in the studio, recorded this song. That's the song that debuted at number 3 on the Billboard music charts in Europe, broke a world record, youngest person to break into the top 10. And that song became the theme song for the Dutch soccer team, Ajax, which is pronounced Ajax if you're in Holland. So every time the soccer team ran out on the field, they played my freaking song. They still play the song on the radio to this day. It's like a real deal over there, which is weird to think of. And it was all about Adidas, man. It was all about Adidas. So, I mean, that went crazy.
Wait, you gotta finish. I recognize the lyric. You gotta finish it. How's the rest of it go? You can run. You gotta do it. What's the rest?
I was supposed to remix the song with this Dutch DJ, but like recently, and he got really ill. He got some gnarly cancer, but he beat it. So it might actually still happen. So the classic part is this, oh we oh, like everybody remembers that. That's like what they say. And Europeans, they all thought it was Hobie, Hobie, ho. So they all say Hobie, Hobie, ho, even though it was Oe, Oe, o. So it was, you can run, you can hide, you can cheat, you can lie, but you can't run away from me. You can do anything that you want to do, be whatever you want to be. You can you can jump through the air, you can fly through the sky as far as Tennessee. You can run just as fast as you can, but you can't run away from me. And so that was.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I know everybody's sitting there going, dude, I remember. Like flashback. Oh man, I love it. Thank you for doing that. You should do the remix, man. Us three. You guys want Jeremy to do the remix?
It might be time, man. Yeah, Eddie Marone is the DJ. Shout out to Eddie Marone. Hope you're healthy and well out there in the Netherlands. Let me know when you're ready for the remix.
Jeremy, I love it. Well, we got a movement of people here that would get behind you and share it, right, guys? So Jeremy, a question, like, dude, you've been at the top, like the top of the top of the top, right, of so many different industries. And obviously a lot of people I'm sure that are watching here, we're on our own climb, right? Everybody, we might have entrepreneurs, right? Climbing the business mountain or the success mountain or the financial mountain. Like everybody right now is kind of on our own climb. And I'm sure all of us are wondering similarly, like what was that like? You know what I mean? To like be that young, that high, like what did that feel like? Was there a moment where you're like, dude, I made it, especially with where you came from? Like talk to us about just that feeling, that moment. And you obviously didn't come from, right? You didn't come from that. You came from the opposite of that. So I'd love just to understand what that felt like.
It's a very interesting paradigm because when I was a kid, like I said, watching Michael Jackson, studying Elvis Presley, seeing these guys, it spoke to me. I felt something in me. Like, I can do that. Like, I have that. Like, that's me. I want to be that. It was a passion and a drive that you can't buy, you can't go to school for, So for me, from a very young age, I always just saw it. I always envisioned it. And I always just believed it would happen. So when it happened, it was just kind of par for the course. It wasn't like, there was a couple moments that were pinnacle, holy crap moments. I'll definitely share them with you. But flash forward to today, it's really all about the journey, never the destination, because the destination has never been fulfilling enough. There's always room for improvement, and being hypercritical, being, overachiever and a perfectionist. Most of the time, 90% of the time, I was like, how come I'm on page 2 and not page 1? Like, why did this sucker get the freaking cover and not me? Who's this Backstreet Boys trying to come in on my freaking young artist? Like, I don't like this. Like, who are these guys? And what do they think they're doing trying to be kid singers when I'm the only kid singer killing it right now? Like, New Kids on the Block was like the only young artist, and they were like years before me, they were already out. So when I came out, I was the only kid singing, and like, it was like my territory. I was like upset. So I was always looking at what I could do better, what I could do bigger, what was missing, not really like, holy crap, I've achieved it. Because I knew it would happen. I was always looking to do it bigger and better, I guess, kind of more focused on what I wanted than what I had, which is a big learning lesson, coming forward. It's added to my depth of perception and appreciation and gratitude now, because, had I cherished more and been more grateful and, nurtured what I did have, who knows what could have happened. I mean, it doesn't do you any good to hem and haw over that stuff, but it's something to take into consideration in the current today.
I heard two things, Jeremy. I want to maybe unpack, because I know there's a lot of people out here that, many of us are never going to relate to filling an Olympic arena, right? Or hitting the induction of the Music Hall of Fame.
15,000 people
on the #1 show in television.
when 15,000 people are chanting your name at the same time and you're backstage, holy crap, dude. It vibrates your whole interior. It is insane. If no one's ever felt that, it is really freaking insane. That is surreal AF. Let me tell you.
I love it. You're giving me chills. I've been close to that. I don't have David Hasselhoff next to me, but some of our events, but I think all of us can relate to, one thing I heard you say is you always believed you would get there. I think that's a huge, huge, huge lesson everybody can take, is it started with like a knowing, like a belief, like, no, I deserve this. I am this. This is meant to be. Like, I'm hearing that in your voice and your confidence. Like, but then there's this weird kind of dichotomy where you have this belief you're going to get there, which gets you there. But then I'm also hearing when you got there, there was always another step. It's kind of like, well, when this happens, then I can do this. But then when this happens, then I can do this. And it's the when then issue, right? Well, when this happens, then this happens. Yeah. This happens, but it never ends, right? And you get to this point where like you're on the top of a mountain and instead of celebrating, you're like, man, I want to climb another mountain. That's kind of seems like that's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. 100%, and the takeaway from that is that life is not about getting what you want. It's about wanting what you have, because if you are passionate and purpose driven enough and willing to work and willing to sacrifice and put in the overtime, you can get whatever you want. I've achieved everything I've ever really put my mind to, but at what cost? And, was I, in the moment enough to protect it and keep it,
Kind of dances on the whole success versus happiness.
Totally.
How I'm curious, you've been on the highest levels of what most people would define as success, right? I'm curious what your personal kind of feeling is on success versus happiness versus success. Do they come together? Are they attached? Which comes first? Which comes second? What's your personal philosophy?
I've been what you would call beaten to a state of sweet reasonableness. And, through the highs and through the lows and through the successes and through the failures, I've blended them all together, and I've realized that, life, once you take the good and the bad and you mix it all together, life is basically just a straight line of medium. No matter how bad it's ever gotten and no matter how good it's ever been, they all mix together and just kind of are okay. So to really enjoy and relish in the good times and to not take life so seriously or hard during the bad times is really only going to be the saving grace and the only way to really move the needle and to accumulate better than medium. If you really embrace those good times, rejoice and celebrate those good times, then and you give yourself slack and you go easy on yourself and you say it'll pass in the bad times, then maybe the arc can be more on the good than the bad. Right now, I'm at about medium, and I'm just kind of tapping into this new phase of experiencing life. I'm not here to be the world's best personal trainer. I'm not here to be famous. I'm not here to, save souls. I can do a little bit of everything. I can be of service, but I don't have to commit to any one thing, and taking a little bit of pressure off myself to just experience life and to be in the moment and to follow my heart, to follow my intuition and not put a label or an official title. I got a bunch of cool little things, and that's how I'm trying to move the needle into the accumulative better than medium, because I'm about break even right now.
I think you're better than break even, brother. I think your scale is just massively distorted.
That wouldn't be the first time.
Well, you're doing great, man. And I think there's a lot of people out here, especially that will watch this, that are achievers. I mean, I know I can relate. It's the achiever's dilemma. It's like the go, the want more. It's a drive that gets you there, but it's also a drive. If you don't keep in check, it'll wear you out. It'll burn you out. It'll keep you unfulfilled and unhappy. I see Linda on the comments here. She had a good question. Linda's from the UK. She's like, Darren, how on earth have you kept real and kept your feet on the ground? And I don't know how much you want. I know pieces of your story on a personal level because I was there through parts of the phases. And I don't know how deep you want to go, but I think the answer to that is because you had a bunch of realizations where maybe you slipped or you messed up or you made some decisions and like I said, I don't know how much you want to share, how much you do share publicly, but I think it would be worth people to get a glimpse of like what happened from that point and kind of what you have to go through to get to the mindset and to get to kind of where you're at today. I'd love for you to share.
Absolutely. Hey, Linda. Well, some people might think I'm a stuck-up a-hole. If you say I'm grounded and not natural, then I appreciate that, and that's a cool perspective, and that's a cool perception that I would rather people have. But to kind of answer the question, I didn't have a dad. I was always looking for a father figure. I didn't feel like I ever really belonged. I always felt like an outcast. Had dyslexia, learning disabilities. I didn't fit in at school. I wasn't athletic. I would run the wrong way with the ball and score in the wrong goal. Like I was always seemed to be messing up, right? So I never really quite felt like I fit in. And performing and entertaining was my way to connect and to earn approval and praise. It was really kind of a drug for me. It was really something that I used to feel better. And I could also make other people feel better and enjoy themselves at the same time. But once I became famous and went back to school, and now I'm the Mattel kid. Now I'm the kid from the Frosted Mini Wheats commercial. Now I'm the kid from the Merv. Now I'm the voice of that cartoon. Like the perception changed. I wasn't seen for me. It was misconceptions, assumptions, rumors, and or third party opinions on who I was based on how I was acting. If I was having a down day, or if I was feeling quiet or thinking a lot or dealing with something, people would assume I was stuck up and or I didn't have time for them or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and it actually forced me to have to try harder to connect with people, to have to take time out to smile, give my time, be honest, be open, because I was basically, being freaking ostracized. I was being, crucified, for like stuff that I wasn't doing or stuff that people thought, getting beat up. I'd go out to the clubs. I just wanted to have a fun time with my buddies. We're 18, we're at the all 18 and over club, and I want to dance and like have a good time and like get the energy up. And then those dudes like, oh, that guy thinks he's so cool, man. Let's beat him up. So I've just been like beaten, teeth knocked out, nose broken 13 times, freaking attempted kidnappings, robberies, people stealing my stuff, trying to hook up with my girls, like just a lot of people trying to take from me because they thought I had a lot of money or I thought I was cool or better than them. And it was all their perception. So I had to do so much to try to like convince people like I'm a real guy. I'm just a normal guy. Like this is just me. I'm not like this because I was on TV. I got on TV because I'm like this. It's like a totally different world, And I think that's kind of what pushed me into drugs and alcohol. Like if I could hang with the dirty crew, if I could, I was accepted in different, countercultures more than like the regular peeps, the judgmental peeps or what have you. So it kind of was a big part of leading me into, let's smoke blunts together, bro. See, I'm a dude. I'm a normal dude too. Yeah, it's cool, man. Let's go surf. So I tried a lot. I had to work really hard actually on that to convince people or to, freaking open myself up to that. Like, here, cut me. I bleed, like whatever, do whatever you want. It was a gnarly process, dude. It's an interesting way to go through your teens and 20s.
It's crazy. I mean, such a, especially coming from such a high, right? When I say your perception is distorted, it can't not be, because the level at which you were living at and the things were around. I mean, that's like a crazy reality for anybody to go through. And I couldn't imagine like, the fall. Like, was there, how long do you think the kind of the slide down, like when you're at that peak, and you hear this a lot from like Olympians, right? So you talk to like professional athletes or rock stars and you hear that reoccurring theme. It's like, once you get to the best of the best of the best, it's like, where do you go from there? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people go back and they say, well, they go through some period where they fell, right? They got dark. They went through a challenging time. Like, how long was that kind of period for you? And was there kind of like a bottom or like a moment where you're like, man, enough is enough. I got to turn this thing around.
I kind of did the reverse and was bratty about it and said, screw you. I don't need you. I never really tried to get it back, quote unquote, but probably more as a protective mechanism for myself. Once I started going through puberty and that awkward phase, and like I got zits and my nose is all big, I'm all puffy, and like just my voice changed, my music's not sounding the same. It was kind of normal stuff that people go through that is a very awkward phase. That's really when it kind of started, getting weird, and maybe insecurities started climbing in. I didn't really want to show up to stuff, do stuff, autograph signings, what have you, because now I got this unibrow and I got these pimples. Like, oh my gosh. So there was some of that, and I definitely started partying. I definitely started not showing up for work, skipping out on the auditions, passing up on those multi-million-dollar movie opportunities and stuff like that. And rather than try to get it together or try harder, I just decided to say, screw you, screw everybody. I'm going to do what I want to do, which is kind of a normal teenager thing to do, really, rebel. So I took the rebellious way instead of the I'm losing it, I better do something about it kind of choice.
You said something to me the other day. You're like, in that phase, you kind of were your own worst enemy. And you also, I heard you say, even in today's conversation, like sometimes it's an insecurity. And I think all of us have been through that, where like our insecurity manifests itself in different ways. And a lot of times it's our insecurity manifests itself into like an ego or like a feeling of entitlement, right? And we start to like lash out. I'm sure a lot of us, if we were to be really honest with ourselves, go through that at different levels. So I'm curious, what did you mean by like you were your own worst enemy in that time? And what was kind of the thing that got you out of it?
Yeah, man. There's an amazing quote. I can't totally recall exactly, but basically, as men, our darkness inside is the biggest enemy we will ever face. The biggest enemy I've ever faced is myself and or my dark parts, those insecure, those angry, those, jilted, parts of me. So, I've had multiple guns in my face, in my mouth, to my head, freaking looked at multiple years in prison. I've faced a lot of crazy circumstances, jujitsu alone, like walking on the jujitsu mat. I've had so many people try to take me out of the game. Like it's a good example. So I show up, I'm 14 fights win streak, I'm on par to be the top blue belt in the world. Like this is the tournament where if I sweep this one, I'm number one or number two in the world for my age and my belt and my weight. Right. And I'm on a 14 fight win streak. Nobody can beat me. And I'm warming up all aggressive. I'm doing my judo throws and I freaking tear my own, doing my crazy like warrior warm up. Like I beat myself. Like 14 guys that trained all freaking years. I couldn't take me out. Only I beat myself. Like I literally shredded, ripped my arms. Of course, a lot of people have tried to come against me. We just talked about whatever the kids beat me up or, me out for money because obviously I used to come to me and be like, hey, yes, 40 grand, man. We're going to make $1 million. I'd be like, yeah, here's 40 grand. I made a lot of mistakes because I had a lot of money. So a lot of people have tried to slow my roll, take me out of the game, hurt me, and no one has been successful. The most successful person at taking me out of the game, hurting me and slowing me down has always been myself. If I really am to be honest.
I appreciate you sharing, and I don't mean to like pry open old wounds, but I know you are stronger because of it. And I know kind of where I want to take this conversation, where you are today. You wouldn't be who you are doing what you do, making the impact you're making, serving people the way you're serving, had you not been through all of that. Right. And I think that's a lesson we can all get is like, it's one thing to make a climb, right? But it's another thing to make a climb, go through a fall, and then re-rise again. And that brings wisdom and perspective that you just don't get on just a climb up, right? I always say like the values in the valley, not the peak. The peaks are fun to talk about, but the values in the valley and the valleys that you walk through, that's where you decide who you are. Let's talk about just like that rise for you, like the other side, going through the top of the top, going through some dark moments, which is understood. I think most people at that age in that situation would have gone through similar things. But what made the U-turn for you? Like what was it around you? Was it people? Was it a mindset? Was it a decision? Like what got you going back to kind of, the Phoenix, getting to where you are today?
Well, thank you, bro. Like most of the things in my life that have been, epic, iconic type of successes, I really can't take any credit for the turnaround. I didn't start singing, dancing, and acting, practicing, accents and doing scenes and radio shows on my little karaoke machine because I thought I'm going to get a TV show that's going to be number one. I didn't ask Christian Audigier if I could get some free Von Dutch clothes because I knew I was going to travel the world and produce fashion shows for him. I didn't start working out all crazy because I wanted to be on the cover of a magazine. It just came from a other divine intervention. I was, after being successful in acting and music and entertainment and getting all wrapped up in drugs and alcohol, partying my butt off and spending all my money and, looking at jail time and being kind of miserable and lost and hopeless. I didn't say, hey, I'm going to get back on the horse. I'm going to put my life together. I never said that. I thought it was done for me. And that hopeless state, that surrender is a very important place to get to. But, if you dig deep enough, if you dig yourself deep enough in a hole, eventually anywhere you dig, you're going to hit water. Doesn't matter where you're at. You just keep digging. Deeper you get, you're going to hit water, and that water is going to float you out. You might not be able to get out on your own, but that water will come and lift you out. So I was in a deep, deep hole, and forces of nature, family, some great counselors, rehabilitation centers, doing the work, I guess. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I don't know how to solve every problem. I enjoy solving problems, but it took an accumulative effort and divine intervention of some family love and support, some major guidelines, some fear, some honest fear. Fear is a really good motivator, not wanting to go back to jail. And just kind of that perfect structure of keeping me away from myself long enough to let my head pop out of my butt and go, hey, okay, I can do this. I'm just going to start small. And that's kind of how I've always gotten back on the horse, is starting real small and just taking inches and being grateful for them.
I love it. I know you're blessed to have the family you have, the mom you have, the people around you have. And I think all of us, right? Environment's everything, just choosing to have the right peer group, right? The right people around you that believe in you, that lift you up, that tell you it's possible.
Well, that's what's so great about this day and age. I'm like this experiential guy. I got to break all the rules. I got to make all the mistakes. I got to achieve the greatness. I'm like doing everything to learn from it, to get my hands dirty. But in this day and age, you do not need to do that anymore. Like, I wish I was the guy that just read a bunch of books and figured out how to do life and business and sobriety perfect. But I had to make all the mistakes. Guys like you sharing these messages, delivering this wisdom, People don't have to make the same mistakes that I made. And people can have the successes without the failures, through mentorship and through, coaching and all that stuff. And that's why I'm so passionate today about being that guy for other people, about putting my preferences to the side, putting my time to the side, and helping guys that are in the same place that I was at one time. That's, a big source of my fuel and my fire today is being the difference for somebody else that I didn't have when I needed it.
I love it. And I know your mindset. I'm sure your family played a huge role. The influences in your life played a huge role, but brother, your mindset, right, is an amazing mindset to have because you went through that. Like what are some of the things that maybe you tell yourself today because you've been through all of it, or beliefs that you built, or beliefs that everybody watching this, right, that maybe is in a dark spot or in a hole, right, that they should adopt to get out of it? What kind of goes through your mind?
Well, there's no shortage of problems in our world today. It doesn't matter what issue you're talking about, whether you're talking about COVID or conspiracy theories or nutrition or health. There's a million freaking problems, but the solutions are very few and very simple. And I believe it's acceptance, it's love, it's faith, it's compassion, and it's work, it's effort. We need connection. Connection is a huge one. Connection, acceptance, passion, belief, honesty. Honesty is a huge one, man. If you can't get honest, I don't know if anybody can get anywhere without really being honest. But there's literally, you can hold all the solutions to problems in your freaking hands, and everything else is a problem. So looking for the solution, not addressing symptoms, but addressing causes and conditions, finding the root of the issue and addressing it through, really, altruistic and honest, natural, good stuff. It's pretty simple,
I love it, brother. And I'm sure everybody out there is smiling and nodding, going, you just distilled everything down to what matters, right? It comes down to learning who we are, treating others, right, who they are, and the core values you just said. And I know that the 10-year-old Jeremy on Baywatch or the 21-year-old Jeremy on, singing that Jeremy wouldn't have given that answer. Only the Jeremy here to give that answer. You got to go through the hell, right, to get that type of wisdom. But well said, brother. And I know you're doing it. You're serving people, like I mentioned at the beginning. So guys, Jeremy today, he helps a ton of people. He's helps people through recovery. He's a certified, drug and alcohol counselor. He helps people with nutrition. He helps people with fitness. I know you do a lot of kind of healing and meditation work. And I think, and really, I guess, kind of going back to the mental health, because I know that's kind of a topic. It's a topic for May. It's always a big topic. But right now in the middle of COVID, in the middle of quarantine, with depression where it's at, with, loneliness where it's at, it's a crazy period. And I think you're doing some work right now with Imperfectly Perfect. So, talk to us a little about kind of where mental health fits in for all the listeners today, what you're doing with that campaign. And maybe if you're willing to kind of share that, I know breath work has been a huge tool for you.
Yeah.
And you're passionate about it. Maybe anything you want to share in that direction.
Absolutely. Well, the Imperfectly Perfect campaign is something that I've been the spokesperson for, ambassador for almost 2 years now. And it's really saved my butt in the past couple months, because we've been doing these Instagram lives, and I've had the opportunity to be of service and lead some meditations online that have been really enriching and given me some purpose and some passion back when stuff is very scary. Obviously, stuff is scary right now. We have an accumulative worldwide fear vibration going on. We got millions and millions of people who are all scared. And we are one. We are connected. that stuff is felt, especially if you're an empath. Please don't watch the news, wherever you are, whoever you are. But you can pretend or try to deny or ignore it, but that's a contagious vibration. So people are being impacted pretty nasty in a lot of different ways. And I also fell victim to it a little bit. And this Imperfectly Perfect campaign has helped a lot of people. It's really just about breaking the stigma behind being open and starting a conversation regarding mental health and mental health awareness. I think everybody has if they themselves are not affected by mental health issues, or maybe they're just not willing to admit it or have not come to terms with it yet. I'm sure they have a family member or a loved one that has struggled with mental health issues. And I do believe that the disease of addiction, alcoholism, is absolutely a mental health issue. It's an obsession that is centered in the mind, that causes, behavior that is destructive to your ultimate goal and your health and your family and your finances. And it doesn't make sense. Talk about alcoholics. They're insane. Like, just don't drink. Like, you'll be fine. Just don't drink it. You drink anyway. You don't make it to your job, whatever. It's all coming unraveled. So that's how I originally got tied in with it, because I wanted to share that aspect of the mental health community, that people that struggle with drug addiction, gambling, sex, fear, anxiety. These are mental health issues that are pulling people down. And I talked about honesty earlier. If you're not able to be open and honest about that stuff, you gotta just, if you don't uncover it, you'll never discover it, right? You got to let the cat out of the bag and just get it out there. Oh my gosh, I'm kind of crazy sometimes, and it takes the power out. And then when you plug into a community of like-minded individuals who are also struggling, but are succeeding on a daily basis, who are finding those solutions that we talked about, who are leaning into their families, who are getting more into health and wellness, who are, taking action to improve, it's empowering, right? We're stronger in numbers. We're stronger together. So that's what the campaign is all about. And I have been so busy with a corporate career, new undertaking, new chapter. You talked about it. I'm always off on some new chapter. And this new chapter has been very kind of corporate, and it's a really cool thing to be a part of. It's an amazing family and amazing company. But I hadn't been doing any meditation. So, because I've been focused on work, right? Seasons. So I've been able to do some of those and to remember, oh my gosh, I forgot how rewarding this was, has been amazing for me. I think you're going to give people a link if they want to do it. But this breathwork meditation is a spiritual practice that I have kind of developed my own style of. I call transformative breathwork. It's about plugging into supernatural. It's about getting out of the head, out of your body, and into something bigger, into something indescribable. And, call it God, spirit, creator of the universe, Father, whatever you want to call it. It's unmistakable once you get to this spot with the breathing meditation. And it's essentially about a 20-minute practice that is a breathing method of breathing in through your mouth and out through your mouth. You take a big breath into your belly and then a big breath into your chest. You really make your belly rise and get full, and then you make your chest rise and get full. So you do that kind of slow for a while, and then you ramp it up for a while, and maybe you scream a little bit and do a breath hold here and there, and then you breathe real hard towards the end. And there's science behind it. But there's also a lot of metaphysical aspects behind it. There's some stuff that you can really uncover, discover, feel to heal, let go of, plug into. I mean, there's no limit to what is possible in this state. And the science is essentially that when you breathe like this, like free divers use this method a lot to a certain extent. Pro surfers will use this, but it hyperoxygenates your bloodstream. So when you create hyperoxygenation, tons of oxygen in your bloodstream. We know oxygen is great for us. It's antibacterial. It feeds, it kills viruses, and it does a lot of great stuff in the body. It increases your athletic output. Your VO2 max. I do it before jiu-jitsu tournaments. You don't get as tired. You can do this before a workout, like a mild version, and you'll be blown away because you have so much more oxygen in your bloodstream. You can hold your breath for so long, 3, 4, 5 minutes after breathing for 20 minutes, the way I showed you. You can hold your breath twice as long as you thought you could. So there's a lot of really cool little things to it. But the science is that when you hyperoxygenate your bloodstream, you create an absence of carbon dioxide. And in that absence of carbon dioxide, you activate your pituitary gland and your endogenous hormonal system to release a chemical naturally found in your body called DMT, dimethyltryptamine. And if you've ever heard of that pre-death euphoria that people get right before they die. If you've ever had a family member or been around somebody who's been really sick in the hospital, usually right before they die, they feel amazing. Even people with Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, they have no energy. And all of a sudden they're like, I'm great. I'm better. I feel amazing. Or they remember everything all of a sudden, or they think they're healed. And that's when they're going to go. Because before you die is just about the only time your body releases the naturally occurring DMT. Why, I don't know. But I believe that before our world was eradicated with carbon dioxide, manufacturing, pollution, deforestation, I believe we once had much, much higher levels of oxygen in our atmosphere. And potentially we were in this spiritual state all the time. And we could connect with ourselves, with God, and with others on a deeper level all the time. And, you could get into some really weird conspiracy theory stuff about this, and maybe it's on purpose and blah, 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 blah. But to get a glimpse at it in this 20 minutes, to have this overwhelming sense of calm, this overwhelming sense of processing fear, relieving stored trauma, past trauma, feeling this spiritual embrace, feeling loved and or accepted, like an overpowering sense of acceptance or love, self-love, maybe for the first time, honesty, just like, boom, you feel so honest. You can actually feel your spiritual vibration. You can feel the existence, the frequency of your existence. You feel the oscillation of your being, your energetic being. I mean, it just is powerful. And I love it. And I love to give it away. And I've seen such amazing transformations and such amazing breakthroughs. Kind of like anything, there's people that might be resistant to it. There's people who have a lot of stuff they might not want to face. And I like solutions. We talked about that, right? I like having the answers. And what breath work taught me, one, it tapped me into intuition way deeper. I'm able to connect with people on a deeper level and feel, maybe just listen. So it's really kind of boosted my antenna for intuition and feeling into others and feeling into situations, or even just trusting that gut instinct. It's really kind of sharpened that. But it's allowed me to realize on a deeper level that I don't need all the answers. I don't have to be the superhero. I don't have to solve every problem. I, in my natural ability, do not have all the answers, but there is something that does. There is a supernatural place that is better than my natural, that is more powerful than my natural ability. And to plug people into that, even for 5 minutes, is like probably the coolest gift that you can ever give to anybody.
I love it. Well, I think after hearing all of that, you probably got everybody who's watching and listening to be like, I got to try this.
9 to 5.
Well, you guys, Jeremy, I know, Jeremy, you're super passionate about, and as you've kind of coined it, transformative breath work. And for those of you guys that are watching, I've actually had Jeremy come out to a couple of our events and experiences and do kind of optional workshops and walk people through what he just described, and have heard just amazing response. I've been able to incorporate some of the things that Jeremy's taught me into kind of my morning routines. And I recommend it, especially now. It's like there's simple, practical tools, whatever your belief system is, like 20 minutes, you can follow a set of steps. Everybody can do it. See for yourself, right? And if it helps, you continue to use it. So, Jeremy, I just went and I know you gave me a link to a live you did kind of walking people through the experience. I just posted that, everybody, guys, in the Facebook comments. So go check it out if you want to understand kind of the full experience. Jeremy walk you through live on kind of the breath work. Jeremy, you've been so gracious with your time. I know we're kind of a little over. I got a couple other questions. We'll kind of close out. But this has been phenomenal. I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, Rob. My pleasure.
So a couple kind of closing questions here. Like, I'm about mindset, right? And one of the things that I had to do to get from where I was to where I am is learn to kind of make mental shifts, and I've used the term kind of shift the script or shift the story we tell ourselves. I'm curious for you, like, what is one of the largest beliefs that you had to shift to get to where you are today? Like, you had to shift from thinking this to thinking this. I'm curious if you were to distill it down to one, what's one of the most important to you?
Whew, man. I like this method, and it definitely works. And it's interesting. Sometimes, I guess just the shit. I mean, there's a lot of examples, but interestingly enough, it might sound crazy, but the shift sometimes is that it's okay to lie to yourself, because when you are indoctrinated and or so committed to a belief system, sometimes it feels like a lie, even though it's not. It really feels like a lie because you do believe this other way of thinking, and or it's been with you for so long that to adapt a new way of thinking or a new perception, or maybe that life coach or that mentor has told you to shift that and it feels like a lie to you. It's okay to lie to yourself to get yourself into that new shift, because it's not really a lie, but you got to lie to yourself because it feels like a lie when you believe so wholeheartedly in this other thing that is not serving you anymore. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. I get it. I think I always say all beliefs are lies, right? I mean, we all can relate to all beliefs.
That's the thing. It'll come true. It'll happen.
That's it. I love it. So I've never heard anybody frame it that way, but I think it's a great shift. Let me fire one more at you.
I had to.
No, it's great. I like it. I think it's profound. If all beliefs are lies anyway, you might as well adopt the lies that are for you.
That are going to serve you. Absolutely.
So let me ask you this: like, if let's say you were God for a day, and you could snap your fingers, and instantly everybody on this planet right now could have a belief shift, like instantly adopt a certain belief or go from thinking this to thinking this. Every human on the planet right now, simultaneously, snap your fingers. What shift would you want or hope everybody on this planet to have?
That we truly are all connected, that we are all one, and that our efforts together interdependently will succeed far greater than any independence we think we might need.
I love it. I love it. I love it. How many of you guys would agree that would be an amazing shift for everybody to adopt? How many of you watching are willing to adopt that right now as your own after hearing this conversation? Give me some comments.
And imagine if we could rely on each other wholeheartedly for our strengths. Where we are weak, we could just make any call to anybody we knew who was strong in that area, and we would just give freely of what we had in excess. I mean, come on.
Count me in. It'd be an amazing world. And the only way we move closer is if we adopt that as ourselves and start with the people around us. So you guys, this has been awesome. You guys can find Jeremy if you're not connected with him. Find him online. He's on all the platforms: Instagram, Jeremy Jackson Fitness. Go give him a follow. If you got value from this, shoot him a DM. I'm sure he'd appreciate it. The Imperfectly Perfect campaign, check it out. I dropped the breathwork live inside the Facebook comments. So if you want to go through the full experience, give it a try. Maybe it's a tool you can apply during quarantine, help you kind of push out all the noise, right? Get back to who you are and grow through all of this. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, Jeremy, but I think you guys are working on a Baywatch documentary that's going to be dropping soon, or I don't know if that's a secret or what's the secret?
Yeah, this whole lockdown quarantine thing really put a halt. We were about 75% finished with the Baywatch documentary. Kelly Slater's in it, Hoff, Pam, Carmen, all the big dogs are in it. Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, they all want it. It's an amazing documentary. The director, producer, Matt Felker's freaking amazing. He's done some really killer projects. He's actually a guy who grew up on Baywatch, loving Baywatch, idolizing Baywatch. And he, produced the Instagram, the social media freaking documentary that's so big. And he's done a lot of really good projects. So it was a labor of love from him. He really wanted to tell the story. So when it comes out after this lockdown, I know a lot of people have been negatively affected. Your friendly lifeguard friends are no different. We're feeling it too. But when this thing is done, you're going to see Baywatch in a whole new light and learn a lot of stuff you never knew. So looking forward to that.
I love it, and I know I got my hands, guys, on a little trailer that I'm probably not supposed to have, but I'll share. I'll share the. I'll drop it in the comments, Jeremy. After just
leak alert. Okay. Leak alert.
When that gets out, obviously we'll let everybody know and make sure we all support it when it launches. I think that's going to be huge. Awesome. You guys, as we round out, today's been an awesome conversation. You got to look kind of behind the camera, so to speak, at someone who's lived a life at the highest level across so many different levels of entertainment. And he was able to, Jeremy opened himself up today. He didn't have to do that. He was vulnerable. He said, hey, this is what I went through. This is what I learned. This is where I was at. This is how I overcame. I think all of us can draw strength from some of the lessons that he shared, no matter what holes we go through, no matter what valleys we're in or what valleys we have ahead. And at the end of the day, I think if we take those values that Jeremy gave to all of us as our own, I think our life will be in a better place and those around us. I guess, Jeremy, it's been awesome. I guess my last question for you, just before we round out, any closing thoughts you want to give to everybody who's catching this live and will catch the recording?
Yeah, I appreciate you, bro. I love you, man. I love what you're doing, helping people get in shape. Prove it. You're looking lean and mean. Keto generally ever done as far as getting shredded, the most shredded I've ever been, the most jacked I've ever been, and the best I've ever felt. As far as mental clarity and satiation, like feeling good and full and not starving, even though I'm eating a stricter diet or a different diet. So congratulations on everything you're doing with Prove It, man. I'm really, really stoked for you and love what you're doing. But, you talked about that hole. Everybody, we all fall. Some people splat, some people bounce. But right now we're collectively in a hole together, which is very interesting because usually, we got various holes. People are struggling in different areas. We're all in the same situation right now. And I got news for everybody. There was no chance for survival before COVID. We were all dying before COVID. We are passengers. Everybody in the world, we're all passengers on the same ship and it's crashing. None of us are going to survive the crash landing. We have mere moments, which from a million miles away is a blink of an eye, but up close right here and now, it seems like 80 years or 90 years, but from a different perspective, it's the blink of an eye. We're all on a ship that is crash landing and has no chance of survival. What are we going to do with our time? You got a few minutes before this thing freaking crashes and burns. There's no chance of survival. Sorry to tell you, COVID's not taking anybody out. You were already dying a little bit every day before this thing happened. What are you going to do with your time? Are you going to rejoice in all the awesomeness? Are you going to help somebody else? Are you going to occupy your time thanking God, having your memories, helping somebody else, doing something, anything productive? Or are you going to just freak out and trample over people and scream, oh my God, we're dying? Like, you know what I mean? Make the best of your time, because we only have so much of it. One day at a time. That's the only thing that's promised is today. Tomorrow doesn't exist. Yesterday's gone. And sorry, that's the honest truth. So don't freak out about this COVID thing. I'm taking it, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm so busy in my life. Like, I have all these things I have to do. And there's all these things I wanted to do and I needed to do, but I can't because I'm too busy doing this other stuff. So I've been really leaning into the stuff that's important to me, but that is not, there's no urgency right now. It's freaking rad. It's a total area of freedom to be more creative and to lean into those things that we've been putting by the wayside, pushing off to the side of the table, that stack that we don't get to, even though we want to, because something is demanding and commanding our attention, and it's going to become a fire if we don't do it. So there's no fire, don't believe the hype and get into the fire of all this sickness. Just lean into the productive stuff and get it back into that creative space. I think the creativity has been shut off by this fear. I personally lost my creativity and my ability to free think and be like, ooh, cool. What can I do with my time? How can I occupy my time? Let's get experiential. Let's get experimental. Let's dream because of the madness and the fear. So try to block that out and try to get back into that creative space and make the best of your mere moments. Peace out.
It can't be said any better than that. I love you, brother. I appreciate you. Congrats on everything you have done and are doing. You're making an impact on a lot of people. And I know the message you gave today will make an impact on more. So guys, give Jeremy some love in the chat box. Hit him up, send him some messages. Thank you guys all for joining our conversation today. And hey, the best gift you can give is share today's conversation. If someone came to your mind or your heart that will get something from it, tag them in the comments below, or go ahead and click share this with the world. I think there's a lot of value given today, and we can help a lot of people just by sharing the gift. Until then, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane. Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate you, brother. We're wrapped, everybody.
Love you, brother. Peace.
Hey guys, one last thing. I'm super excited that this new podcast, Alive by Design, just went live, and I want to celebrate by giving away $500 cash to 5 lucky winners over the first 5 weeks. You see, I designed the show to bring you inspired thoughts and fascinating conversations with the world's most impactful people, to provide transformative principles and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. And I'd love for you to help me spread the word now. So to enter the giveaway, follow 3 simple steps. Step 1, simply subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on this platform right now. Step 2, find this giveaway video post on my Instagram @BlakeMallon or my Facebook or LinkedIn profile and share it to your Instagram story or your Facebook and LinkedIn profile. When all done, simply comment "alive" and tag 3 friends on that same post. Weekly winners will be chosen randomly and announced publicly on my Instagram and Facebook story each of the first 5 Saturdays after launch. Would really appreciate your support, so if I've ever given you value, please do me this personal favor and go subscribe now. And if you found today's episode helpful in any way, make sure you share this with at least one friend today. You have the power right now to change someone's day. So send them a text message with a link to alivebydesign.com, or simply copy and paste the link right from this podcast platform. Who's one person you know right now that you want to see succeed, that you want to see grow, that you want to see feel more alive? Shoot them a text with your largest takeaway from today and be a light in their day. And if you were referred here by a friend, make sure you shoot them a text back and say thank you. I'd love to hear from you directly on what you got from today's podcast. So if you're up for it, drop by my Instagram @BlakeMallon and shoot me a DM. And as always, thank you for showing up. I'm grateful for you, and I hope our time together today in some small way helped you feel a little more alive. Until next time.